Hello.
Hi there. Hi there. I'm on my phone because I wanted to stay in the living room. And
Uh-huh.
my computer's been acting up, so I thought I'd move in here with you guys.
Okay. Well, it's only going to be with Carol because Shell forgot her laptop at the pantry,
Oh,
and she does. So we are recording.
okay, sounds good to me.
But
And
Carol will be joining us.
okay, okay, good. I forgot to. I don't want to. Never mind. I don't want to put that on the recording. Um, so how are you and Jane doing? It was good to see you guys last week.
Oh, we're doing fine,
Good.
actually.
Good.
Um, um, yeah, we're both pretty healthy at the moment. My cardiologist was actually ecstatic at my last visit last week. Um,
Great.
so said my EKG and my blood pressures over the previous month were perfect. So
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah,
so
I woke up with sniffles and sneezes this morning, so I put out the call to my choir. I said, "Hey, does anybody have a spare test kit?" and came back negative. So, um, so it must just be allergies or maybe just a seasonal cold.
yeah, well, knock on wood, I have avoided everything so far.
I have been too. It was one of those things that I really did not expect to stay negative every time I tested because I've been around so many different people and exposed into so many different situations. I'm starting to wonder if I'm one of those lucky few that have a natural immunity that's
Ah,
not.
yeah,
I mean, because I was in pretty risky situations through most of it. When I was working at the church.
yeah, yeah, sure.
So yeah, and I tested through all of that religiously.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So
Well,
yeah.
so far so good.
Yes,
Although
maybe it'll.
I understand that the new dominant variant is different. It's not COVID anymore. It's something else.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's just going to keep morphing,
Oh
and probably
yeah,
like the seasonal flu that we'll be getting flu and COVID shots every year.
yeah. I think we're just going to have to live with this.
I
We've
think so too.
we've done ourselves in.
That's for sure. It's really just there's a couple of things that I think we gained out of this. I mean, first of all, who would have thought that we would be holding class like this?
Yeah,
And as many times as I saw all the piano teachers that were doing online teaching, I never ever expected to be one of them.
yeah.
I never wanted to be. I never wanted to be. I just didn't want to be.
Right.
And I had to be, and now it's okay. So all of my students today are going to be online. I said, I don't know what it is at the moment. I'm going to try and get a test kit and make sure that it's not COVID. But even still, you really don't want this cold, if that's what it is, going into
No,
the holiday.
no.
So,
Hi, Carol.
Hello.
hi, Carol.
I
Did you hear that Shell is not joining us?
Not even on Zoom.
She left her laptop at the pantry,
Oh,
and I, I I gather she's not doesn't know how to do it on her phone, and I don't think she's feeling very well today.
yeah.
Um, so we're recording.
Okay.
So, is it time? Yes, it is. Oh, I guess we could begin.
Well, let me zip in the other room and back.
Okay, run to the other room and back. Well, yeah, it was really nice to have that Zoom time with you.
Yeah, it was. I've been missing you guys so much, and it's just feeling hard to be isolated like this so much,
Yeah.
I think the worst part of it is that I can't even get in my car and go someplace.
Yeah.
So,
How are you getting food?
I've had a couple of people, excuse me, that have done some grocery shopping for me. I actually had pretty well stocked up my freezer pretty heavily. So
Oh,
I'm actually in pretty good shape, as I could probably eat for several weeks without a grocery shop. But it's just nice to be able to have somebody go get me some fresh vegetables or fresh fruit or something, rather than eating the
sure.
dry, the frozen stuff. So um,
Yeah.
so yeah, there have been a couple of people that have been still helping me with that kind of thing. A couple people have come up and picked me up for different things. Jane Bugby took me to New Haven last week for a piano class, and then day before yesterday, a friend of mine from Guilford picked me up for another piano group thing we do, piano forum we call it. So I've been getting out a little bit here and there, and
Uh-huh.
it's just to escape.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you get to the church to do your organ and whatever thing you have to do?
Yeah, I've had people, because I'm so close to the church, it's real easy for people to come and pick me up to go there. So I've
Oh,
been
good.
doing so I'm back to work pretty much as normal there. And they've been very good about it. So it's all good. It's all really.
And your foot is doing well?
It's doing really well. The scars are healing pretty well. And I've started, washing it, lightly. I've submerged it quickly in the bathtub.
Mm,
I don't yet feel stable on it without the boot, just
yeah.
because it's my big toe. I don't want to stress that any more than usual. And it's not until after Thanksgiving that I've got an appointment to see where we are, see how the healing is, see how much pressure I can put on it. So I
Yeah.
just don't dare. I don't want to test it.
No, don't push it.
Yeah. And I still go up I haven't been using the crutch going up and down the stair. I've been away from the crutches except for on stairs. And I've slowly gotten away from that but I still do it one at a time,
Mhm.
just because it's nice to have that I just feel wobbly.
Yeah.
The boot has such an elevation, and I don't have the same level shoe on the other foot, and it's big and clunky. I mean, it's kind of like walking around the house with a ski boot on.
Yeah. Ah,
So
well, this too shall pass.
exactly, another week and a half, and I should be. Hopefully, I'll be back into sneakers or something.
So, okay, good. All right. Well, onward and upward. Good. So did you find the sound of the tin shaw on here better today?
There was
There,
no sound at all for me.
No?
Not at all.
I didn't hear anything either.
Oh, you know what? I didn't realize I had to turn it back on. There's a setting called original sound.
Ah,
I had it on yesterday, and doesn't really matter now. But I just realized that when I turn off Zoom, it apparently goes to off, and I have to turn it back on again.
mhm.
Next time.
Next time we'll be in person, right?
Oh,
You know,
My class yesterday said it was the first time on Zoom that they had heard the real ring of the ting sha. So
previously it sounded like a tink, and then all of a sudden it was just an abrupt stop. It was tink, and then it was done.
yeah,
today there
well,
was nothing at all.
that's because that sound was off.
Yeah.
Didn't realize. Sorry about that. Okay, so how are you doing with your meditation? Any questions or reports at the moment?
I don't have anything to report. I'm finding I'm really doing a lot better. There are times like in the middle of the day where I feel like I kind of need that that step back, that I can almost do just a very, very quick kind of scan and feel the energy, going down.
Mm-hmm.
That I think has been a big help for me.
Good.
But as far as feeling blockages and extension of blockages, I'm still not there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Carol, anything?
no, I'm still having a lot of time just trying to put it into my day.
Okay.
And yeah,
That's
when I do, I tend to have a blockage like solar plexus. And I get, okay, maybe I'm not sitting up straight enough, but there isn't a straight enough that makes that go away.
So that does sound like a blockage, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we'll keep working.
Or an ulcer, I don't know.
What?
Or an ulcer.
Well, I hope not at all,
I
sir.
don't think it's that, but it is.
Okay. Well, let's do a little, well, I guess Carol and I will do a little energy gates, and
What you could try the seated energy gates.
I mean,
Well, yeah, how would you do it seated? Because I've tried at times doing that kind of energy, feeling that energy flow like we did in Dragon Tiger.
mm-hmm.
Just feeling that energy flow. I can stand and do a little bit, but I've been trying to do some of that. If you've got some suggestions for that, either seated or laying down.
Well, you can. This is one that I think doesn't necessarily work as easily seated as some of the others, but there's no reason why you can't really do almost all the movement, but it's mostly has to be in the upper body when you're seated, of course. And you have to be careful that you don't twist the spine. So being really aware of being careful about that when you do it seated, but you might be surprised at how much actually you can feel in terms of the movement of the energy, even though you're not standing and doing all of the physical movement. And of course, while I'm not sure, Linda, whether you have ever been in class when I talked about it or not, but the spine stretch absolutely can be done fully seated.
No, I haven't been in class for that.
So that's kind of an interesting, if you haven't done that, you you let your arms actually simply hang by your side and do the movement, because it's all the spine. So it doesn't matter whether you're seated or standing or whatever. And so the spine stretch really works.
Okay. Yeah, because I've either been skipping over that, or I will do that while I'm standing
Yep.
as best I can. But yeah, that'd be interesting. I'll have to try that today.
Yeah, because that's a really important tool when you're meditating. If you suddenly realize that you stiffened up, or you've gotten back pain, or whatever you might feel is going on, and you want to get things moving, sometimes just doing the spine stretch seated as kind of a break in your meditation is perfectly acceptable, and be really helpful in sort of opening things up sometimes when you get stuck.
Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah.
Yep.
Try that out.
Yeah, that's a good thing to use.
Okay. Good to know.
Yep. Okay.
Swings might be a little difficult.
I'm sorry?
Wings might be a little difficult.
Wings?
Swings.
The swings. Oh, yes. The
Right.
swings, you can't do the swings, obviously, in the way they were originally intended to be done. You can do a little bit by stretching your legs out so you create a little space, but then you really have to move the arms. You really, and so a lot of that has to really kind of be in the mind and your intent. Cloud hands works pretty well. You can do that seated, and the spine stretch works very well seated. So you just kind of have to do the best you can do.
What I've been trying, yeah, because the cloud hands is the one that I'm feeling like I can do a little bit of that and feel it, how it feels when I'm standing. The swings I've skipped over, and the spinal stretch I skipped over too. But that makes sense that I should be able to try that seated.
Skipping the swings when you have to be seated, I think, is perfectly acceptable. I know you can try playing with that, but it's not at all the same, and I question to what extent it would really work. I don't know. I haven't really played with this one seated myself.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
honestly. I've often done the spine stretch seated, so I'm familiar with that.
Okay.
Okay. So let's do what we can. So stepping out. Just standing for a moment, aligning your structure, breathing, Just being aware of allowing the body to find those alignments that allow the energy to move. And sinking the energy through your body. And beginning to note where you might have blockages. But basically focusing at the moment on letting it move from the crown of your head down through into the earth. And then flowing into cloud hands. And into the swings. And a spine stretch. And let us sit. So did you try the seated spine stretch?
I did. I did. I could feel some of it, working,
Uh-huh.
and definitely not as good. And I think with my boot on, I might be able to do it standing, but that's good to know that it can be done seated as well.
Yep.
That was big. Yeah.
Good.
But I'm gonna lay down now.
I'm sorry. Oh,
I'm
you
gonna take my boot off and lay down.
okay. She has to have her foot above her heart.
That's difficult.
Yeah.
It's certainly not the recommended way to play the piano.
Well, you could play it with your toes.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
However,
If you could play it that way at all, I would be amazed.
I was pretty much the joke of that was pretty much the joke of the piano class that I went to. How are you doing that with your, just with your foot above your head?
So, as I may have indicated, although I don't know that I was really clear about it, I'm going to talk at some length today, which I don't always do or normally do in this class, but I'm introducing another Taoist principle that we want to bring into the practice that we're doing. We're not actually going to change the basic meditation practice we're doing, but add another thought. So previously, we looked at how when dissolving a blockage, you also need to pay attention to the energy that is immediately connected to it, which is often referred to as the energy behind the immediate energy of the main blockage. And we also looked at the energetic mechanism at the root of this practice method, which is in effect another aspect of extraordinary intent. Now, the point of this segment is going to be to introduce you to the Taoist idea of love and balance. This is something that is very unique to Taoism. Love and compassion are as important in Taoism as they are in Buddhism or Christianity. So let's look at these principles in these different ways, because they all approach them in slightly different ways, while essentially arriving at exactly the same thought at the end of it. But they approach it in slightly different ways. So I don't want you to get thrown off by words like love or compassion or whatever other words have been repeated constantly. Now, the two Asiatic meditation traditions, religions as it were, are Buddhism and Taoism. In terms of being the oldest, you could also say Hinduism too, but I want to start with something that has polarized a lot of people. The idea of religion in the Western world means you believe in some superior being called God or other name, which tends to be politically hot buttons these days. But God told you what to do, and you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to fear not making God happy. And God is merciful, and everything comes from God. And you are to do what it is that God says you should do. And that becomes a religion. And whether it is the God of the Hebrews or the God of the book, as the Muslims like to say, or whether it's now Jesus Christ becoming God. In a lot of the rest of the world, however, they believe there are universal forces, but don't necessarily believe in any God. From the day you have grown up, you've constantly been told about God. So some people love it, and if anything goes against God, they want to murder whatever it is that is going against God. And there are also lots of people in rebellion against the idea of God at all. God can't possibly exist. You can't logically say blah, blah, blah. And then there's the God of science, as well as the God of religion. And I want to say something here that I'm not engaging in that debate. Whatever position you hold is fine by me. And any position you hold, I am quite sure that if you really want an argument, you can find 1,000 people on the internet who'd be glad to argue with you about it. But if you start looking at the idea of religion, it is something that people practice and they identify with. that has some hope of making life here on earth better, and hopefully life after their death better. And this is basically what religion is in reality. And forget about the current politics around the world. In the East, in Taoism, Buddhism, they neither affirm nor deny the existence of God, because they say that the way the universe works does not necessarily have anything to do with what we believe in. Many scientists, many people who don't believe in a superior being at all, can agree that creation works in a certain way. And if God is supposed to have created everything, they say, well, let's just deal with how this creation works, which is more or less where Buddhism and Taoism are. In terms of human beings, every major religion that has really stood the test of time in the deepest areas is based upon meditation. Whether you're meditating upon a God, or you're meditating upon your own mind, or you're meditating upon whatever it may be, it is based upon meditation. The inner side of religion, what you practice that actually enables you to change the innermost nature of your character and soul, that's called meditation. And in the East, they just consider that to be religion. They don't say Christianity is religion and Buddhism is not, or Buddhism is religion and Christianity is not. They look at Jesus Christ as being a great meditation master. And as a matter of fact, that's an opinion held by many people in the world. But you don't have to hold it or not. I'm just talking about how they approach what they do and how they do whatever they do. Now, Buddhism is very well known today. It's in the last 150 years, there's been an incredible number of the people coming from the East and Westerners being exposed to Buddhism. So most people know something about it. The truth of the matter is that in the 1800s, people knew way more about Hinduism. But because Japan lost World War II and Tibet fell, Buddhists started going everywhere. But before then, the West knew more about Hinduism. Now, Hinduism has gods, but in truth, every one of the gods of Hinduism is nothing more than an object of meditation. It is a subtle way of saying how the mind and the nature of the universe works. And meditation is the way in which they arrive at it. And Buddhism basically came from Hinduism, just like Protestantism came from Catholicism. And as we all know, Catholics and Protestants are quite a bit different. But if you really want to get right down to the core of what they're doing, they have small differences, like Buddhism and Hinduism. Now, Buddhism is known for its very powerful Mahayana school's constant emphasis on compassion. Compassion this, compassion that, compassion everything. The basis of everything should be compassion and emptiness. But they go for compassion first. In China, Taoists, who actually have been around much longer than Buddhists, sometimes make jokes that Buddhists are a little bit like universal social workers. Now, if you talk about love in Taoism, however, Hinduism or Buddhism, it is absolutely at the core of all three meditation practices. all their big beliefs. There are some areas which in everything, love gets kind of lost in the process. But if you start looking at Buddhism, it is always compassion, this, and always compassion that. And you should always have a compassionate attitude about this. And you should always perceive from universal compassion for all beings, even at the moment that you're shooting them if you have to. The Taoists are not as metaphysical as the Buddhists are. They are very practically oriented. They don't say why God exists. They just say, well, if there's a God or there's spirituality, of what use is it? And what use can we make of it? They aren't coming from the fact that just because it's there, it's important. So what? There are rocks all around you. They may or may not have anything to do with you. So just as Taoists do not deny in any shape, manner, or form that there are universal spiritual forces, a part of this is that Taoists don't go for compassion in the beginning. They go for balance. And what does that come from? If you look at some situation in which people are not balanced, Taoists believe they will never arrive at compassion. Oh, they'll have the idea that they should be compassionate. Many children have the idea when they are 3 years old, they should become 9 feet tall so they can play professional basketball. But that's not going to happen because it's an incredibly high-minded ideal, which is a great deal, make no bones about it, but it is impossible. Within Taoism, the term, there is nothing that does not further, which many politicians have tried to say just means it's going to make something successful. Within Taoism, they say the only thing that will make any situation or circumstance better, no matter what it is love. It is compassion, but they don't hammer it because they say it's wonderful. It is just that most people can't arrive at it. They say that balance is required before genuine, natural, free-flowing, not forced, non-ideological compassion can begin to arrive. So they look at making things balance first, because the only true thing that at the end of the day is absolutely necessary, is a necessary ingredient for something to become balanced, is love and compassion. Without that, there will always be some grand polarity at the level of self-interest or belief or something else. So they see that when human beings start finding balance, that sets the stage where they can begin not just recognizing, but actually implementing, doing compassion and love. Otherwise, it's a grand idea, but it just never gets off the drawing board. Now, Buddhists do not hold that opinion. They advocate what's often called equanimity or emotional evenness, balance. But Taoists don't just say emotional balance. They say psychic balance, they say mental balance, and physical balance. Because from their experience of seeing that they're all bound together in one soup, they're not really that separate. And Taoists look beyond emotions. Emotions are important, but they're not the whole thing. So Buddhists have love and compassion. The Taoist thing is loving balance. So let's understand something. The normal human condition and how your mind thinks is that it always sets up yin and yang dichotomies. And ultimately, what occurs is the yin fights the yang, and that fight for dominance. In fighting for dominance, love and compassion usually go out the window. We can look at Christian love, a very powerful form, a force. I'm an absolute fan of it. It's no different than Taoist love, and it's not different than Buddhist love. It is the totality of love. Yet, kill for the love of Christ. Very strange phrase said by Christian armies since history has had Christianity. So you can take an idea and make it either a yin or yang polarity, or incorporate it into a yin or yang polarity. But when you look for something being balanced between whatever the yin yang forces are, whatever the reasons are, and whatever their justifications are, and whatever their natural self-interest is, and you start coming to where it gets near a balance, it becomes obvious that loving compassion is what kicks it over the edge into actually being balanced. And as you are balanced and you stay more and more balanced, over time, it becomes very, very obvious whether or not you're having a sense of compassion, not just for others, but also for yourself. Everyone always thinks in terms of love and compassion, in terms of somebody else or some other situation. Well, what about inside yourself? Most people beat themselves up every day, even more than other people beat up other people. Horrible political situations that exist. Anyone who is beating up other people is also beating up themselves. So the Taoists go for loving balance. If that happens, they believe that compassion will flow from it naturally. When people meditate, they have lofty ideals, ideas they are trying to activate. They try to achieve emptiness. They go, oh, I hate myself. I think I'm a bad person. I've done this bad thing and I can't get it out of my mind. And they start looking at this thing that is inside of them that they want to resolve as though it's their enemy. And then the only trouble is that it's inside of you and you become the enemy. And it's very important, the Taoists say, when you meditate, you will come up and you come up against blockages. You will come up against frustrations and up against this incredible idea that you realize that you do something you regret and you don't want to do it again. And you go out every day for the next week and do it again and again. So some of it is that people live in families and you have kids. And the fact of the matter is that kids screw up all the time. They're cruel or mean to each other. They do stupid things and they don't know they're doing it and don't think there's any reason they shouldn't be doing it. Or, as the common phrase goes, they're clueless. And yet, If a parent or a relative or an adult has any loving compassion toward them, they try and forgive the child for what they did, but they put their foot down about what it was that they did until eventually the child realizes, oh, I don't think I really want to be doing this anymore. Now, it takes children 10 to 15 years before you get them over the hump. But even when they do horrible things, most parents that really love their children, no matter what the child did, when the child comes back, they're still going to love them. Are you any less than that child? Whatever inside of you that is stuck, whatever inside of you that needs to be liberated by meditation, are you any less? You are the same. So if you can cut somebody in your family slack for doing something, then you can cut yourself as much slack as you would them. And this is all part of loving balance, because a loving balance has to be both first inside yourself, and then you will find that your ability to extend it to other people will grow. It's important to realize that when you meditate, you may need to continuously forgive yourself during your practice. Everybody screws up. Everybody does things they shouldn't do. And everybody does things they know they shouldn't do while they're doing it, but yet they still do them. And you constantly need to forgive yourself. You constantly have to go back and do something over again. And this was part of the original idea of the Catholic confessional. You did something, you forgave your sins, and if you had a good priest, they would say, look at what you did, and go forth and sin no more. Well, commonly now, it's say 10 Hail Marys or something, and you paid it off. Well, the fact of the matter is that that is not how the whole thing started. The point of the whole thing was to actually confess what you had done and try and sort out what inside of yourself needed to be corrected so you wouldn't go and do it again. Loving balance enables this to happen radically better, because if you don't forgive yourself in reaction, you'll go out and do it again. So when you dissolve, when you meditate, you will uncover aspects of yourself that you don't like. If you're meditating and you realize, oh, I just tapped into that thing inside of me that makes me miserable all the time. Well, hopefully you're not going to like being miserable. But then again, if you don't forgive yourself for being miserable, you don't have any way of ever coming out of being miserable. And some people think, yes, I should be miserable. I hate myself. I hate it. And then inside of you, you're going to come to but, and for all these reasons, why you're actually such a bad person, you probably should be tortured and made miserable for the rest of your life. Well, nobody can torture your mind as well as you can do to yourself. And this is an important point. Or you may encounter frustration. You're trying to dissolve this thing, but it won't dissolve. Sometimes some things actually really are deep and are really hard and might take a month or more to dissolve. You have to forgive yourself that you have done it. Yet you have to have a sense of loving balance toward yourself, because you have to realize you can't build Rome in a day. You can't build a 100-story building in an hour. So you forgive yourself, and when you go back, that frees up more space and more energy to put into dissolving what the issue is until you finally resolve it. And many people find that they're trying to be perfect. They never forgive themselves because they are never perfect. And somehow, deeply, internally, they're looking for some way to torture themselves because they're not perfect. Because we know if you're not perfect, then of course you should be punished. Well, no. Just recognize no. In terms of balance, it takes a long time before we really become truly balanced people. No, we're not perfect, but neither is anything else on this earth. So you try to be kind of accepting about it. Feel bad about it, and take all that energy of feeling bad about it and use it to the next time you meditate to resolve the problem, not just self-flagellation. So when you find yourself not perfect, loving balance says, don't seek to be ruled by the nature of perfection. Seek excellency. Do the best you can do. Try to do better tomorrow than you did today. Try to resolve more inside you than you did today. But forgive yourself that you didn't do it. And don't look to be perfect. Just as you love children when they stumble and scrape their knees after doing something daft, love yourself. Find the balance inside yourself and accept this happens in life. If after meditation you screw up again, and meditation shows you what happened, forgive yourself. Find the balance to actually love yourself, or at least to accept yourself. And next time, do your best not to repeat, or at minimum, slowly get better and better and better, bit by bit, until you're out of the woods. So understanding everything I've just said, everything, every day now when you practice, just keep doing the 3 stages we have been practicing, getting the energy behind and behind to relax. And probably you didn't get to the end of it, and I would say that's perfectly reasonable. But what you have now is that you're trying to incorporate loving balance into your practice. You're trying to climb Mount Everest, and every single time you have to stop and rest to a certain degree, you have to forgive yourself for not just pushing on, which without the rest, you won't get anywhere. So that's what you're going for this in this practice. And my recommendation is that if you can do it, practice at least 20 minutes at a time, because the habit of not having loving balance is a very strong one, and it takes a certain amount of practice to get over it. So let us sit for a little, close your eyes, or lie down. Be aware of your structure and your breath. Sink your chi for a moment. And then extend your mind through your body. And then beginning at the crown of your head, going down the body, find a blockage. Wherever it may be, wherever you are drawn to it. And then open your awareness to the energies behind the energy of that main blockage. Whatever is related to it, wherever it may be throughout your entire body or mind. Begin to relax any of those tiny blockages you found behind your main blockage, those energies behind that energy. And also relax the space around them. And as you're doing this practice, remember to keep loving balance and forgiveness constantly present. And then begin to relax the energy of your conscious mind. the entire conscious mind's energy. And then as you can, we should begin to close. Sending all benefit gained from this practice out to help all the sentient creatures of the universe. So any last minute thoughts or questions?
No,
No?
I'm in balance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good class.
Have a good couple of weeks. Hope you continue to improve, Linda.
Thank you. Thank you.
See
My
you.
cat wants to join the class.
Oh, good. Tashi joined my class yesterday morning. Yes. Oh, yeah, there you are.
This is Cody.
That's Cody. Oh, hi, Cody.
Cody.
Well, that's cute. I'm
He
glad
was
you have
helping.
creatures.
I have two of them that have been very good therapy for me.
Good. I'm sure you needed them.
I did. I did. So, I
Good.
apologize in class. My phone started to lose power,
Uh-huh.
and totally forgot that when you do any little thing with a phone, it amplifies every little sound. So I apologize if that was interrupting.
No,
All right. I think
that's great.
we're just fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everything good with you, Carol?
Yeah, we got a new car this week.
Oh, you
So
did?
yes. You'll see it on Monday.
Okay.
Got
And-
a Hyundai Tucson hybrid.
Oh, good.
That's what I got. I love it.
Yeah, good.
Oh, good.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we've been for 4 days now, and I like it a lot so far.
Good. Oh, that's
It
great.
drives, I found it drives really, really well. It's really, really comfortable. The gas tank is small, so it doesn't feel like you're getting good gas mileage, but you do. The only thing that I don't like about it is how it doesn't connect well. The computer system for navigating and things like that is clunky, and it doesn't always connect real well. And they keep telling me that they're trying to fix that. Maybe your generation, you've got it. So I've had mine for a year now. So hopefully they have fixed it for you.
Yeah, I hope so. We used it the once we bought it in Old Saybrook and used the navigation system to get home, and that worked just fine.
Good.
Good.
Maybe they have. There's hope.
Yeah.
Good.
Great. Well, take care, guys.
You too.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.